Hi, my name is Samuel Firebach. I'm a student here at COS, and I'm wrapping up my ethnic studies class, and this is a brief overview of what I've learned. Um, so, first off, before taking this course, I never really thought about the challenges of housing and inequality, and especially when it has to do with public policy. That I never really knew these topics existed before these classes. Some of the three biggest aha moments that I had were redlining, housing discrimination, gentrification, and the role of technology such as RealPage and increasing housing costs. So the first concept I really want to cover is redlining and housing discrimination. What I learned was that HOLC, or the Homeowners Loan Corporation, created maps that graded neighborhoods based on lending risk, and usually the higher the risk was, the more ethnically diverse they were, like minority populations, Black, Latino, and all these were labeled as a red or risky investment. And this was a common thing that was supported by the government, and it began in the 1930s, and then this kind of led to families having fewer options to buy homes, improve property, or build wealth. This was important because I always assumed homeownership mainly depended on hard work and financial responsibility, not government policies that can really have a stronghold, a grip on it. I learned that many economic inequalities we see today have roots in historical government policies. The biggest surprise that I learned about this, though, was that the decisions made almost 100 years ago still affect these same neighborhoods today. This has really changed my perspective because now I understand that present day inequality is influenced by historical decisions. And instead of assuming neighborhoods develop naturally, I recognize that public policy has also helped shape where people live and what opportunities they have. The second concept I really want to cover is gentrification. To be completely honest, before this class, I did not really understand what gentrification was, but from what I understand now, it is like urban renewal, revitalization, or beautification, as it's often called. And often these terms are used to describe redevelopment that can overlook or displace already existing residents. This happens when neighborhoods receive new investments for redevelopment, and this causes the property values to increase, where the wealthy residents move into an area and the poor, the ones who are less fortunate, are forced out. Why this is important is I view neighborhood improvements as something that was always positive. I never really understood that there's two sides to the coin, which obviously having the benefit of hindsight, I now understand. And these improvements can create economic opportunities while also forcing the families and communities that have lived there for generations out. What really interested me most about this, though, was that it made me think that social issues often have multiple perspectives. And I believe communities should be able to improve in ways that also protect existing residents, I guess. And the third concept I really wanted to cover is RealPage and housing algorithms. And so during this course, we watched a documentary labeled "Why is the Rent So Damn High?" And this explained how RealPage, which is a software that analyzes rental market data, and then this obviously relays that information back to landlords, and then it more or less creates a cartel of renters, and this is also artificially causing rent to increase among like large amounts of areas. The course also discussed the concerns that this reduces competition and contributes to higher housing costs. And I really thought this was important and a pertinent issue because I've never experienced how computer algorithms could influence something as important as housing. And then I assumed that rental prices all determined independently by each landlord. I didn't realize it was a set thing, a thing that was being communicated on, which is illegal. And then what really interested me most was I found that technology itself is neutral, but it can be used to benefit people more than others. And what I mean by this is, especially when it comes to ethnic groups, they're definitely at a disadvantage here when it comes to technology, and this is being used to exploit them. And then this really changed my thinking, and now I pay more attention to how technology not only influences this, but influences every market. I'd almost compare it to like an octopus. It just spreads its tentacles everywhere. And this has really just showed me that economic issues are increasingly connected to technology. And then I can apply this to my life, but first I have to understand that many current issues are connected to historical policies, economic decisions, and new technologies. It's not always hard work or merit. A lot of it is based on other policies that have been made that are specifically inhibiting a group of people from becoming more successful. I also feel more prepared to participate in discussions about housing policy, economic development, and community planning. I've never had to experience this though, seeing as I don't really live in an area with a homeowners association or a government like that generally hanging over my head. I really never had to think about that, but this course challenged many assumptions that I had before the semester, and my three biggest takeaways were the lasting effects of redlining, the complexity of gentrification, and the influence of technology and algorithms on housing prices. These topics have helped me understand that the social programs and problems are often connected to history, economic, and government policy. And overall, I believe this course has made me a more informed student and citizen, and I will continue to apply these lessons when thinking about public policy and community issues. Thank you.